Gorgeous ladies of wrestling glow. When you think about it, you think about the talent. The women wrestling, Mount Fiji, Matilda the Hun, Babe the Farmer's Daughter, Tina Ferrari, Colonel Nanuchka, Hollywood and Vine. But you also think of one man who's been a constant with Glow, and that's David McLane. And now David McLane is involved with WOW. Thank you, David. Tell us about WOW and just the basis, the concept behind it, and what's going on with WOW.
Well, Jim, thank you for the phone call today. It's great to be with you and your audience, which is rich with history and love for everything you do. And all I can say is Glow was then and WOW is now. As you know, Glow was the 80s big syndicated TV hit, and WOW, which has had its hurdles in getting established vis-a-vis we're in syndication. We were on down in Miami in early 2000, and 9/11 booted us out of the marketplace. When the advertising market just collapsed after 9/11, we found ourselves in an inability to keep WOW going. And it wasn't until recently that we brought programming shot back in 2000 and 2001, placed it on TV on a market in Vegas, an ABC affiliate, and found out the love for it was still there. Women's wrestling, a dedicated women's wrestling program. So my business partner, Jeanie, who owns the Los Angeles Lakers, and I decided, let's bring it back. So we shot some shows, and we found out very quickly the market climate today versus then is going in a direction of digital. And we really had to stop, pause, and create a foundation which to grow WOW completely digitally. And subsequently, as of today, with you speaking with me, we've got all of our platforms built out for WOW Women of Wrestling to provide wrestling fans women's wrestling 24/7, 360 days a year across the world. And we have Mark Burnett, the greatest television producer in history, and his company MGM Studios joining us as our partner to create new programming and content across our digital platforms and for television, all starting in 2018. So it's exciting now, and it's going to be a great 2018 year. And as many of your followers know, Netflix had a spectacular success this summer with Glow, and they've renewed it for a second season, which will be next year. So anyone that's a fan of wrestling, and in particular female wrestling, they're going to have a spectacular year in 2018. And we're just happy to be along and at the right time and able to fulfill a dream of mine, which was always to see women's wrestling as big as, and maybe even bigger than, men's wrestling.
It's interesting. There's so many streets and avenues and directions to go with this now because you've mentioned so many things. But I'm going to go here. You mentioned some big names. Mark Burnett, Jeanie Buss. And when you look at the landscape of wrestling as a whole, Billy Corgan, musician, lead for Smashing Pumpkins, was involved in TNA Impact Wrestling. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, he's on Shark Tank. Access TV is his. He has pro wrestling with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then of Shark Tank, you mentioned the great Mark Burnett, executive producer, The Voice, Shark Tank, Survivor, so much. And of Lucha Underground on El Rey Network, and involved now with WOW. And then you mentioned Jeanie Buss, owner and CEO of the Lakers, involved with WOW. So many people with diverse backgrounds are involved in pro wrestling and in women's wrestling. Just what do you think about that and these very creative people and smart business people getting involved in wrestling?
That just shows that the platform of wrestling has grown, even from the time where I started in it when I was a kid, 13 years old in Indianapolis, from the hayseed arenas where the box office is literally a cigar box, to Vince McMahon's fabulous vision of taking it national and dominating television through cable TV and pay-per-view to expand wrestling. And it's just from all those different steps and platforms, even from the days of Chris Dundee promoting it at the Miami Beach Convention Center to today's world where it's, cable outlets, digital outlets, multiple platforms. That's why you have so many people that have diverse backgrounds from wrestling that are smart in their own unique fields, engaged in it. It's a performance art that is the greatest performance art. It's better than a Greek play or a theatrical play, but its roots are founded there with good versus evil. So that's why it's lasted and never gone away. And I think that's why you have Mark Burnett's involved. That's why you have Mark Cuban's involved, Jeanie Buss is involved, etc.
And on your end, as you mentioned, Mark Burnett and Jeanie Buss involved with WOW. How do you make that partnership with Jeanie Buss? The great Dr. Buss with the Lakers, and now Jeanie owns CEO of the team and the Staples Center, which has had many WWE events, including SummerSlam. So the Buss family knows the success of pro wrestling. How did you forge that partnership, though, with Jeanie Buss?
Our partnership was formed out of a personal friendship. I started the first ever roller hockey league at Walt Disney in Florida at the Walt Disney Studios there, MGM Studios at Walt Disney. And Jeanie, her father, and a gentleman by the name of Dennis Murphy and Billie Jean King's husband, initially Larry King, had started an indoor roller hockey league. They had the arenas. I had television with ESPN. And subsequently, we merged the two entities. And I moved from Florida out to L.A., and my first phone call that I received when I moved into an office was from Jeanie Buss saying, "I'm Jeanie, I run the LA team and own it. Let's go have lunch." And from that lunch, we formed a good friendship. When I started WOW, I was officing in the Great Western Forum where the Lakers played. My office was next door to Jeanie's. And I asked her to come to the WOW events initially, and she did not want to come. She didn't think it was going to be, something she would enjoy. She thought it might even be something like oil wrestling, etc. And I begged her to come to an event. She came for 5. She said, "I'll be there for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'm out of there. I'm just coming to say hello." Well, it was 1 in the morning, and she was still there, and she loved it so much. She said, "How can I become a partner and help you succeed in growing the business?" And she and I became partners, but we were friends first. And her leverage, her smarts, her creativity, her ability to know how to maneuver and make something a success long-term, not overnight success, has been a godsend for me, who's had a dream of doing this for so long.